Hi, and here we are at the Royal Canadian Legion branch number 59 in Moose Jaw, upstairs in the lounge, and we're going to be talking today about the fact that, well, as we film this, it's the first day that poppies are being worn this year, and the Governor General has actually been given the first poppy to wear, and so we're just trying to catch up on that. And so I have the president of our local Legion, Lloyd Meyer, and the chaplain, Doug Shepard, and so welcome. Thank you guys for coming.
Well, thank you for having us. Yeah. We really appreciate every chance we can get to talk about Remembrance Day. So.
Well, and the last time we talked was actually a decoration day.
Yes, it was out in the cemetery when we were decorating all of our service members' grave sites. Yes.
So Remembrance Day is like, how many years is it this year? What's the anniversary?
This year would be, well, we're coming up to the 75th anniversary of World War II.
Mm-hmm. And the 100th anniversary of World War I next year.
That's correct, the 100th anniversary of World War I. So,
commencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not ending.
Commencing.
Yeah. And so you've, being the president of a Legion is a very big responsibility at this time of year, because there's many things that happen in the months from September to just a little bit after November before you kick into Christmas stuff. But
well, it's a busy time for us, yes. Between our decoration day in the summer, then getting ready for Remembrance Day. We start preparations for Remembrance Day in September, actually. That's when we start sending out all of our letters, our invitations, having our meetings with Mosaic to make sure that we have access to the Mosaic Place. We're very thankful to Mosaic for that, by the way.
Thanks, Scott.
Yes. So it's a very busy time. Thankfully, I have a group of volunteers that always help out, and of course, my vice president Al Davey. He's a big part in this, getting this all organized. So,
yeah. And also, you've got a young chaplain here, Doug. You've been chaplain for how long now at this Legion?
This, I believe, is my 12th year. 12 years here. Came here
before.
Being what, in the Legion?
Legion? No, you've been to Legion lots of times, but as a chaplain.
Well, yeah, I started as chaplain at the Legion up in Yonge, and then in Watrous in, I think, 96, I think. So I've been doing this for a few years now. Been a member of the Legion since 1969. Kind of off and on.
Yeah, because you were a bombardier in the artillery.
I was a bombardier, ready, and 5 battery in Victoria. Yeah. That's right. That wasn't last week either. This is a wonderful thing. This whole business of Remembrance Day. I remember in the good old days we used to call it Armistice Day. Mm-hmm. My old dad, he came from Lincolnshire. He had his own language, and he'd refer to it as Armitage Day. While the rest of us called it Armistice Day, Dad called it Armitage Day. Whatever you call it, it's certainly an important day in this country. And I can't think of very many days when people from all faiths get together, all creeds, colors, the whole business, they all get together in one place, and we just stand together silently for 2 minutes. It was such an important day, such an important day that evokes so much emotion from so many people. And it's wonderful that we have such a great location for it these days, too, at Mosaic Place.
Yes, because there was thoughts when we left the Civic Center. I can remember times when we were actually outdoors, because I've been in uniform since 1968 myself, and I can remember marching out there, and then we went inside the Civic Center. We thought the world was wonderful. Yes, and now we're at Mosaic Place, and it's we still fill it, and it's gone even larger.
Yes, it's quite amazing. I can remember being back here in the late 70s, early 70s, marching down Main Street from the Civic Center. So this year we will be parading, weather permitting, with road conditions and weather. We will be parading from Mosaic to out front of the branch before we dismiss the troops to come.
Didn't work that well last year, did it, with the snow? I don't think people remember. Oh yeah, like High Street was like about 3 feet deep in snow.
Yes, regretfully last year we did have to call off the parade portion because of the weather, but never ever would we call off the ceremony. The service is very important to me. I've been to Remembrance Day services around the world. And not once have I ever been to one that got called off because of weather. It may have been moved to a different location, or I can remember in Brighton, Ontario, standing in the pouring rain with a small service of maybe 100, 150 people, but it still goes on. It's very important that this service goes on. It's very important that we remember all of our comrades.
Yeah, the 11th hour of the 11th month, the 11th day of 1918, and that's when it was, the date was signified. It wasn't celebrated right away in our nation or in the world, but into the 1920s it quickly picked up. I think the Legion and other veterans organizations wanted to make that sure it was recognized on a national level.
I remember years ago in school, it wasn't a national holiday. We would stand beside our desks and observe 2 minutes of silence. But now it's taken on this entirely different dimension, and a very, very important dimension it is too. The churches get together, people get together. We remember. Let's never forget. And this is what the Legion certainly is spearheading, is this drive to keep it in front of the public.
And I think that the Legions have done an excellent job of refocusing, because about 20 years ago it was not as important as it is today.
Well, I don't know. I've been, as I say,
not important in terms of the value, but important in terms of recognition and participation.
well, I don't know. I'm originally from Edmonton, Alberta, and my mother was a member of the Legion when I was a small child. And we always went out for Remembrance Day. My mother was a Wren. My father was a cook in the Navy. I lost an uncle in World War II. I had another uncle who was a belly gunner. And so it was always important in my family that we attend Remembrance Day. And so I can't speak for anyone else from 20 years ago, but I can say from my part, it was very, very important. And in the 20-year time frame, I was still serving in the service back then, so it was, of course, always a big deal for us while we were still serving. So,
you know, in the last 20 years, we have been more on a war footing, I think, than in a peacekeeping. So the fact that we have troops overseas in actual combat roles rather than the nice guy peacekeeper kind of motif, I think that's probably brought the whole business farther, or rather closer to our thinking.
Yeah, and it's not the only thing that happens though. Of course, the wearing of the poppy is very important. And the poppy sales go on, when do they start here, Lord?
Poppy sales are going to start on the 28th of October. That's when our trays go out. And then, of course, Poppy Day is the 2nd of November. That's when we'll be in all of the stores. You'll see all of our veterans out selling poppies at that time.
And helped by the Cadet Corps and other organizations.
But of course, yes, we always include all the other organizations that we can. So we get the cadets out, the Navy League out, we get the Boy Scouts. It's very important to everybody. And we see a lot of very good participation in this.
Events on that day, on November 11th, people should go to the Mosaic Place. And can you run me through the timelines?
Okay, Mosaic will be opening at, I believe, 10 o'clock for the public. The service will start at 10:40, if I remember right, if I have my timings correct in my head. And, of course, services will run through to the 11th hour.
And at 11 o'clock, there's a 2-minute silence.
Yes, and then after which we will be marching back to the Legion. And, of course, the branch will be open to all guests who wish to come back to the branch after the service. So.
And that's a really important thing for you, Doug, because you're one of the lead players in the service itself.
Well, I'm one of the players, that's for sure. I would confess here that the biggest challenge to me on November 11th is that when I finish the prayers following the sermon and say Amen, that I look up at the clock or I sneak a peek down at my watch, and I can say we now pause for 2 minutes of silence, and that second hand is going to sweep right up to exactly 11 o'clock.
Well, you've done it before. I know you'll do it again.
I've come close a number of times.
The digital watches don't work in your world.
No, they don't. And at the old Civic Center, there was a clock that I could see. but now it's right up there. And
You could talk to God.
I talk to God quite often during that service, let me tell you. So it's a wonderful service. It's just great. It's just great. And last year we had the War of 1812.
Don Hicks.
Yeah, that was great. That was wonderful.
And one of the good things about that is the War of 1812, one of the trivia questions, when was the War of 1812? People laugh. They say, well, 1812. It actually lasted from 1812 to 1814. So he's got 3 years that he can wear the uniform.
Oh, well, let's have it. Let's bring it on, yeah. And to have the troops out on the ice surface, just a great service. Great celebration and a great remembrance it was.
Well, Lloyd, we're down to our last minute already. So I just wanted to say thank you to you and to the Legion for spearheading this event. It's such an important part of our society. I think the fact that we now have veterans from Afghanistan, etc., has kind of revitalized, because it's a different kind of thing where we actually have young people there to celebrate with, as well as the older people who served our country so well in previous wars.
It's really nice to see the younger veterans out. Just last year, we received a donation of a plaque honoring all of the fallen vets in Afghanistan. It's hanging up in our downstairs lounge, and it was a very sad but yet proud sight to see, with all of these younger veterans that many of them were in Afghanistan. Look at the plaque, observe the plaque, remember their friends and that they knew back then that had fallen, and that became a place for them to place their poppy in our branch after the service. So
yeah, it's an excellent idea. Well, guys, thank you very much for taking time today. I know a lot of things are busy in our community, but especially you have to get back out to the base and celebrate the 200,000 hours
on the Harvard fleet.
On the Harvard fleet, and that's it's the most in the world. So lots of dignitaries here, and I hope they find a seat. Okay, so thanks. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about another event that happens around this time of year. It was a great success last year, and it's going to be even a greater success this year. So don't go away.